Hello everybody, this is JD again, and today I'm going to talk about something that you are probably going to upset a whole bunch of yous out there. And probably some people who support me, and the reason is because I'm going to speak a lot of truth. Okay, back when I was in my early age of high school, we had a social studies teacher that we had to study the Mephisto by Karl Marx. And then after we read it, we got to compare it. And there's a lot of stuff in our comparison that we found. Communism as an idea is great. And Bill Ayers fell in love with it. And people like him. They truly fell totally in love with it. But the problem with them is they are so blinded by it, they cannot see the truth. I run into a lot of people like Bill Ayers during the late 60s. See, I was part of that generation. And one thing I noticed, and what really turned me off to quote-unquote higher education, was the stupid idiots they had for professors. I was not a person who would take somebody's word on something. If you told me something, I went and researched it until I could find out the truth. I was not a blind lamb. A lot of my teachers and a lot of my professors would say, when JD, well Jim, that was me then, would walk into the classroom, we knew just by the way he walked in whether we were going to have an interesting discussion or not. Because I was not a blind leader. Bill Ayers is. His type of people don't want to hear the truth. That's why they do the things they do. I mean, look during the Vietnam era what he did. I mean, he bombed the Pentagon, he bombed police there, he killed people. Look what McCain during the Vietnam era did. He bombed villages, he bombed houses, he killed people. Now, Bill Ayers claims, oh, I'm against the Vietnam War. I'm against violence. But he did it exactly the same. What's worse is he is even a monger that attacks innocent people completely. So, yes, communism is a great idea. So is Fairyland. So is Walt Disney's happy ending stories. They're all in the same group. Because they never take in consideration reality. I mean, in Walt Disney's princess movies, you have the prince, you have the princess like Cinderella, or the maiden, who's very nice and very sweet. And then you have the evil, who is overcome by the prince, and everything lives happily ever after. Fairy tale, utopia. Well, communism does the same thing. The truth about communism, it never took into account the human being. The way to make communism work is to kill off every single human being on this planet. And communism works. Now, if you go to a society that is total ignorant, no education whatsoever, that's under a total dictatorship, then communism is a stepping stone to a more freer democracy or republic. But it is not a permanent government and never can be a permanent government. Socialism does not work. It is something that people dream about, but it's in a fairy tale land because it doesn't consider the other items. Like Bill Ayers. He's a prime example of what needs to be eliminated in socialism. The type of person he is wrong. It does not exist. And a person who believes the means justify the end justifies the means, is not the person for anything. So, I don't know what to say about it. But people like Bill Ayers will always be like Bill Ayers. If Obama is a blind follower of socialism, then he has no touch in reality. Anyone who believes that socialism is a successful government only needs to study history. First thing is, you find that there's very little history on successful socialism. Actually, there is none. That's the reason you can't find it, is because they failed. All socialistic types of governments have fallen to all superior other type of governments. So there's not much history on them. We have had socialism in this country a couple times, and they were met totally with devastating results. Jamestown went through an era of almost pure communism. Boy, it almost destroyed it. Plymouth Rock recorded it, and it did destroy the colony. The Indians had to come and help the people. It was so bad. That's about the first Thanksgiving, the failure of socialism. So, what am I trying to say? We have a republic because we have an intelligent people, and the government serves the people. The government does have regulations. The government does have rules. But they'd be limited to allow maximum freedom and economic development. There has to be regulations, and there must be some. And we have to walk that line. But not a socialistic government. And if a person wants to share their wealth, that's what is called charity. But the government does not have the right to take from one to give to another. The government does have the right to regulate so that all have an equal opportunity to develop their own livelihood and lifestyle. Socialism takes all that away. Socialism removes everything from a human being that makes them different than animals. Because in socialism, if the government's providing everything, you don't need an education. If you do get an education, then you become a problem. In socialism, you don't need a job. You just do anything you want. It doesn't matter. Oh, but wait a minute. The government's going to make you work. Oh, wait a minute. Then you have to get educated. Once you start getting educated, you can start asking questions, and you're not going to settle for socialism. Because then you become one of the problems that socialism cannot, or communism cannot handle. So remember that we are a republic, an educated society. And as an educated society, we need to read our Constitution, understand our Constitution, and live by our Constitution. Our government needs to understand they are to serve the people, which definitely our Congress does not even have the faintest idea what they're about. They got their own ideas. That's why Ron Paul goes off on his tangents, and all those other people, the libertarian president. They all got their own ideas. They're not listening to the people. And the republic is the people. The Constitution is the people. And that's why when I say elect me as president, I will bring you to the White House, because you are the government. Thank you. This is JD. Remember, I am a write-in all 50 states, and some of you have to demand it. Thank you.